We're now going to look at simplifying ratios that involve fractions. Again, there are two strategies for this one. We can use the lowest common multiple or we can use the calculator. Let's start by using the lowest common multiple. This also involves the calculator if you can't think of the lowest common multiple yourself. So you start by looking at the two fractions in your ratio and you have to find the lowest common multiplier of the denominators. So if you don't know the lowest common multiplier off the top of your head, you're going to put that into the calculator. This is also a function and it's above the divide key. It's in pink, so we're going to press alpha, then divide, and I'm going to write in my two denominators, 3, shift comma, 2, bracket. Okay, so my lowest common multiple, so if I was to list out the multiples of 3, the multiples of 2, the first one that would cross over is 6. That means that I need to rewrite these fractions with a denominator of 6. I'll just write down that first step. Find the LCM of the denominators. Okay, we found that the LCM was 6. So now I'm going to rewrite out my fractions with that denominator of 6. However, if I'm creating these equivalent fractions with a denominator of 6, I need to ensure that whatever I'm doing to the denominator, I'm doing to the numerator. So let's think, well, how would I get from 3 to 6? 3 times what is 6? 3 times 2. If I did it to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. That creates my new equivalent fraction, which is 2 over 6. Same thing over here. I've written the equivalent fraction, which is going to have a denominator of 6. I think 2 times what is 6? 2 times 3. I have to do the same to the numerator. So I end up with 3 over 6. Now, when you have a ratio with fractions where both fraction has the same denominator, you can just cancel out those denominators. Because now we're comparing like fractions or fractions with the same denominator, which I essentially like. So I can rewrite this as 2, 2, 3. And that's in its fully simplified form. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so first step was find the LCM of the denominators. These are my two denominators. So I'm going to put that into my calculator. 5, 4. Okay, my lowest common multiple is 20. So I should have put up here, find the LCM of the denominators. Rewrite with common, I'll just write D, common denominators. And then our step 2 over here was remove denominators. Okay, so we figured out the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 was 20. So we're going to rewrite out equivalent fractions that have a denominator of 20 so it can be the same. I think, okay, to get from 5 to 20, what do I have to do? I have to multiply by 4. If I multiplied the denominator by 4, I also have to multiply the numerator by 4. So 4 times 2, that's 8. Same thing over here. I've created an equivalent fraction to 3/4 with a denominator of 20. 4 times what is 20? 4 times 5. If I do it to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. So that I have 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, now I'm comparing like fractions, which means I can just cancel out my denominators and rewrite the numerators as my reduced ratio. We can also simplify ratios fully on the calculator. Okay, so if this was a little bit tricky, come down to this strategy. For these, we use the same strategy we used when simplifying whole number fractions on the calculator. It just looks a bit bigger this time. So first step is to rewrite as I'm just going to include big fraction because it's going to look a bit odd. It's like a fraction over a fraction. So remember we put first term as our numerator, second term as our denominator. So we're going to rewrite this as a fraction as 11 over 10 all over 2 over 15. Okay, then I can just punch all of that into my calculator. Fraction button, 11 over 10 over, I'll do another fraction, over 2 over 15. Okay, and I get 11 over 75. So rewrite as a big fraction, simplify on calculator. And then step 2 is change to a ratio. So I've got my fraction here. Now I need to do step 2, change to a ratio. 11 over 75 is the same as the ratio 11 to 75. Let's have a look at this next one. This one has mixed numbers. Now, to do the mixed numbers in my calculator, I can't just put them in like this. So I need to convert these into improper fractions. You might remember how to do improper fractions, but if you don't, you can do that on your calculator. 3 1/3 just means 3 plus 1/3. So 3 plus 1/3 is going to be 10 over 3. Same thing over here, 1 plus 2/5, 7 over 5. Okay, so that's a little bit of an extra step when you're dealing with mixed numbers. So now I'm going to go through my steps. Rewrite as a big fraction. So it's going to be 10 over 3 over 7 over 5. Then I simplify on my calculator. I've got a fraction on the bottom. Let me do that again. Fraction. I've got 10 over 3 over 7 over 5. Okay, 14 over 3. Now that I have my fraction, I change it to a ratio. Numerator becomes the front number, 14 to 3.